It's called self-compassion, a tool for personal well-being. Somebody said in a very funny and witty way, a wife is staying with the husband, or husband staying with the wife, is part of our life. But a wife staying with the same husband and husband staying with the same wife for years is art of living. Very humorous way it is put. Then imagine living with the same I, me, myself, from the birth to the death. Oh, it is a very interesting and a very happy, and sometimes it's a difficult journey too. So everyone desires good, happy and peaceful with all that is going on in our lives. So self-compassion is one such great helps to be good, to be happy, and to be peaceful in our lives. So what is the rationale behind this workshop? Given to our stressed and struggling, super fast, busy lives, I wish to present self-compassion as a concrete psychological concept. But I would like to present it in a practical way that can be consciously exercised in our personal lives, so that this tool of self-compassion enables us to cope with the struggles and the challenges of our daily life. So what are we going to do next 1 hour or so? Broadly putting them together, so we psycho-educate ourselves about the concept of self-compassion. We are going to use 3 tenets of self-compassion used by Dr. Kristen Neff. And what else? We also will do clarifying the myths about self-compassion that we have. And we ourselves going to use some tools and skills to increase the usage of self-compassion in our daily lives. So we can take up a couple of exercises, the best friend analogy or the self-compassion break. I'm not sure, are you able to see the slides? One of you can tell me. Can you see the slides?
Not clearly.
No, sir. Father, slides are not clear.
No, can't see.
Can't see. Okay, let me see whether I can share the slides with you.
Yes, Father.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, Father.
Okay.
Father, it is loading now. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for your feedback. So now, probably once I start talking, you could mute yourselves. So once again, there are some people popping up now and then. You can see the slides now?
Yes, Father.
Yes.
Yes, Father.
Yes, Father.
So that's what we shall be doing for the next sessions, for the next 1 hour or so. Dalai Lama once so beautifully said, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. So without them, humanity cannot survive. So we know about the importance of love and compassion for others. As Dalai Lama stated, humanity cannot survive without these characteristics of love and compassion. He also said another important and a very insightful quote about compassion that you can see on the screen. If you want to be happy, you have to practice self-compassion for yourself. And if you want others to be happy, practice self-compassion. So compassion then is not only a vital piece of our humanity, very important, but it is also extremely effective for improving our own lives and the lives of others. So we basically ask for ourselves now, what is this compassion is all about? how do we put it in simple words? What is the meaning of compassion? Compassion means the ability to express empathy, love, concern for those who may be struggling, who may be experiencing difficulties, who are going through sufferings. Fortunately, if only some of us can decide for ourselves, I want to be a compassionate person for others, working on self for a while, it's not so difficult to cultivate a sense of compassion for others, especially to those people whom we love. Then if you can work on yourself slowly, that can be taken to those whom we like. You're able to show compassion for them. And slowly extend it to others whom we do not know either. But still we can express compassion. I feel compassionate or compassion can be expressed to those people who are suffering somewhere in Africa. And that also can be finally extended to the circle of people whom we are not so comfortable with. It is possible. It is possible. Interestingly, developing compassion for the self can be very, very difficult, far more difficult. So if you are one of those persons who are who is struggling to show compassion to yourself, then you have come to the right place today. This session is going to help. We ask basically that fundamental question: what is self-compassion? And we said, what is compassion? We said compassion is having the ability to express empathy, love, and concern for those who are experiencing difficulties and who are going through suffering. So self-compassion means it is all about extending that same compassion back towards myself. So with self-compassion, we give ourselves the same kindness and care we would give to somebody whom we love. Instead of judging, instead of criticizing yourself for all the failures, for all the limitations, for all the inadequacies that you have in your life, you are trying to be kind and understanding to yourself. So that basically the central aspect of self-compassion involves treating yourself, kindly mark my words, self-compassion means you are treating yourself kindly. You are treating yourself gently. You are treating yourself kindly. You are treating yourself gently. Even when things are going wrong in your life, that's the most important thing. Things will not happen the way I want them to happen. Even such times, I am kind to myself. I am gentle to myself. So just to give you a bit of information, this is not my concept. This is done by various people in the world. The two important people that you should know when you talk about self-compassion is Dr. Christian Neff and Dr. Christopher Germer. Dr. Christian Neff's work is recognized all around the world now. Her work on self-compassion makes her an expert in the field. She was one of the very few researchers to define and measure self-compassion in people. So in addition to her work and research on self-compassion, she has also created a program to teach self-compassion to others, especially the workbook, MSc, Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook and Training Book. It was co-created by Dr. Chris Germer and Dr. Christian Neff. And the other person, Dr. Christopher Germer's main focus and interest are on self-compassion, which he refers to as, this is how he defines self-compassion: warm-hearted attitude of mindfulness when we suffer, fail, or feel inadequate. Warm-hearted attitude of mindfulness towards your own when we suffer, when we fail, when we feel inadequate. So this Dr. Christopher Germer came across this idea of self-compassion in 2005, as a solution for his own lifelong struggle with public speaking anxiety that he himself was going through. So in addition to partnering with NEF on the workbook, MSc, Mindful Self-Compassion, he also established a Center for Mindfulness and Compassion at the Cambridge Health Alliance in 2005. And now he is also researching a protocol for using self-compassion to treat chronic pain for people. So to summarize both of their works, you can see Dr. Neff and Germer, both of them work on self-compassion, and their work is groundbreaking. So they fundamentally believe that having compassion for yourself is really no different than having compassion for others. So in other words, self-compassion means treating yourself with the same understanding, as I've been telling, with the same understanding, unkindness that you would treat someone whom you love most in your life, your friend, your father, your mother, your spouse, your partner. How do you treat them with compassion? You need to treat yourself in a similar way. So basically, when we talk about this self-compassion, we have three main elements in this self-compassion. What are the three main elements? Before that, I would like you to just pay attention to this little story, an episode that has happened in this person's life. There was this poor, dark-skinned, dark like me, but beautiful girl, was working as a sales girl in a textile shop, in a clothes store. She was supporting her family with her meager income that she gets from this small job. She did not have any formal education or a degree to get a better job so that she can have better standard of life. Sadly, she always considered herself as someone worthless, someone good for nothing. She always thought she's dark, she's ugly, she's poor, she does not have any talents, she does not have any worth in her. This is what she used to tell herself all the time. She used to lead her life every day worried and tensed. Why my life is like this? Self-criticism, being very harsh to herself. This routine continued in her life for a while. As she is working as a sales girl in the shop, one day a famous fashion designer came to the store to shop. She happened to receive him, as expected of any sales person in the shop. She displayed several varieties of material to him with a charming smile and convincing proposals why he should buy these materials. The fashion designer looked at her and he was in awe with her charming smile, beautiful face, and confident personality. The fashion designer was in awe with her charming smile, beautiful face, and confident personality. He simply said to her, "How beautiful you are. How beautiful you are." Nobody ever had said this to her before. And she never thought of herself as a beautiful person in her life. Remember how she was criticizing and being harsh towards herself? So the words of fashion designer kept on ringing in her ears, and she was disturbed. She was positively disturbed. She could not sleep the day. She began to become aware of herself as she listened to the words of this fashion designer time and again. And she tried to look at herself calmly with a sense of positivity. The next morning, what does she do? She goes in search of the fashion designer and met him at his office. She politely asked him. She wants to once again check for herself. So, do you really think that I'm beautiful? Are you sure you're saying these words? And he said, of course, yes, you are very beautiful, he said. Then immediately, confidently, she asked him again, then why don't you give me a chance in modeling in your firm? Then why don't you give me a job or a modeling chance in your own firm if you think I'm so beautiful and good? My dear friends, things changed slowly in her favor. And she later became very successful model and famous. Just keep that story of this young lady moving from self-criticism, moving from self-judgment. So there are three key elements when we talk about self-compassion. I don't know why it's not moving. Yeah, yes. So what are those three elements in self-compassion? One, they talk about self-kindness, and I would say self-kindness versus self-judgment. We also judge ourselves, the opposite of self-kindness. Just imagine for ourselves, instead of continually judging and criticizing yourself for all your inadequacies, shortcomings, self-compassion allows you to be kind and gentle to yourself. So according to Christian Neff, having self-compassion is not about trying to be perfect in your life. We're not talking about that. It is about being kind and understanding even when I face with certain personal failings in my life. I know I messed up things. I know things have not come in my favor. I know I have certain limitations in inadequacies. But self-kindness is being kind to yourself in spite of all this. It is not about self-judgment. It is about developing a sense of warmth and compassion in everything that you do. So whenever you feel self-compassionate, you recognize your own failures and shortcomings as something that is inevitable and as something that you can accept with love and kindness. And so it is not about being dependent on social comparisons or about personal success in your life. It is about recognizing, accepting your flaws, which is a process that often leads to growth and personal development. So I hope self-kindness is nothing but I accept myself as I am, with all my difficulties, with all my shortcomings, with all my limitations. I hope you are there with me and you're able to go with me in this flow. And I invite you for a moment of exercise. So sit comfortably wherever you are. I invite you gently to close your eyes so that you are not distracted. You shall do this mentally. Later on, you can also do this putting down on paper and so on and so forth. But just for want of time, and we do not want to take a longer session, but just get to know the exercise and then you can start practicing it on yourself. As you close your eyes gently, I believe that you're all closing your eyes and focusing on yourself. Now think about times of your life when you feel bad about yourself or when you are struggling in your life. Think of an episode where you feel really bad and sad or struggling or going through stress. Think about it. Or you have not done things the way you expected them. Things did not work out in your favor. Just become aware of one of those unhappy, unsuccessful episode of your life. Now ask yourself, how do I typically respond to myself in these situations? How do I typically respond to myself in this situation? Just become aware of those. Think about it. Become aware of what you say, the words that you say. Become aware of the tone with which you use those words. They are very important. The words, the tone that you use as you think about episode that was not happy. But how did I respond to myself? Okay, just leave it there. Now I invite you to go back and continue in the same focused mind. Now think about a time when a close friend or a person whom you deeply love feels really bad or struggling. They are struggling in some way, this person. And the person pours out to you. How do you respond to your friend in that situation? A loved person whom you deeply respect and admire and love is going through a tough situation. How do I respond to that person? Especially when you're at your best self. So again, typically observe the words, what you do, what you say, and note the tone. Wonderful. Did you notice a difference? If so, ask yourself why. What factors or fears come up into play that lead me to treat myself and others so differently? Most often, we treat so kindly and gently and with a lot of compassion others, the person whom we loved. We're able to accept their shortcomings, we're able to accept their limitations. We do that. But whereas we tend to be a little more harsh towards ourselves, we demean ourselves as the one the girl has done in our life. So to help yourself, you can think, how might you change? How would you like to respond to yourself in some way that I responded to my friends? If I can use the same responses to myself, you're being kind and gentle to yourself. Why not trying yourself like a good friend? So it is time and again practice this kind of exercise every now and then, focusing yourself, putting yourself there, and giving yourself a life. So that's what happens. No? So self-kindness versus self-judgment. So the second element, you go to the second element. common humanity versus isolation. What do you mean by common humanity? So self-compassionate people are kind to themselves. So not to themselves, they go into this lack of awareness about common humanity. Self-compassion also allows you to see that all human beings suffer. I'm not the only one in the world suffering. All human beings, every person in this world suffers. The very definition of being human means we are vulnerable, we are imperfect, we are mortal beings. So self-compassion comes into play when we are able to recognize this as a shared human experience. Shared human experience. Now, frustration at not having things exactly as we want is often accompanied by an irrational but pervasive sense of isolation, as if I were the only person in this world suffering and making mistakes. We isolate. If I'm not able to share that common human experience, that we are all mortal beings, we all have our limitations. I'm not the only person who is struggling. So why am I so much worried and anxious and hard on myself and throw myself down? Like me, there are so many people around me suffering. So I do not isolate myself. In these COVID times, you can say, why only to me, my family, we are getting COVID. There are lakhs and lakhs of people who are getting this COVID. So I do not isolate myself and I do not get frustrated. That doesn't mean that we have to be very happy. Okay, COVID. No, not in that sense. We are saying we recognize it as a pandemic situation that we are in, and we are affected by maybe by our negligence, maybe by not our fault. Without my knowledge, I got contracted. If I'm able to accept it as it is, then I would not be so worried. So that allows me to be more compassionate and gentle and kind to myself. And the third aspect of element of self-compassion is mindfulness. If you're not mindful, the opposite that happens is we over-identify, over-identification. Mindfulness is a non-judgmental, receptive mind state in which one observes thoughts and feelings as they are, without trying to suppress them or deny them. I just become aware. I am in touch with those feelings, emotions. I'm not judgmental about myself. I do not suppress them. I do not deny them. But at the same time, mindfulness requires that we not be over-identified with thoughts and feelings, so that we are not caught up and swept away by negative reactivity, by negative reactivity. So in mindfulness, we are able to be still and to stop either resisting our pain or wallowing in it, and just give it our full attention. Something beautiful begins to happen. A deep, soothing warmth, that is self-compassion, arises by itself and moves us to think and behave with kindness and gentleness toward ourselves. You know, I told you about Dr. Christopher Germer. He also talks about the difference between mindfulness and self-compassion. For him, mindfulness is more about moment by moment experience. Because I do it now, it is a moment by moment experience. I do it tomorrow, moment by moment experience. I do in the afternoon, moment by moment experience, as and when you choose to do it. But self-compassion, on the other hand, is more about the inner relationship we have with our sense of self. The self-worth is defined by me. I have an understanding about self-compassion, that it is a concept that you develop for yourself. So basically, what do we say? When I undergo frustrations, failures, or limitations, I can choose to honor and accept my human experience. That is a constant mantra that we can say to ourselves when we are struggling with. I respect myself. I honor myself. I accept myself, the human experience that I'm going through right now. Both negative and positive. So I also said in the introduction, we'll also see some slides about what is not self-compassion. Because I said we have some myths about self-compassion. So many people think, oh, self-compassion doesn't sound very positive. So let us see what is not self-compassion. Most people do not have any problem with seeing compassion as a very noble, as a thoroughly commendable quality, a good quality, being compassionate to others. We respect that. We give credit to such people. But we seem to be less sure about self-compassion. For many, it carries the understanding all the bad self-words, self-pity, self-serving. Self-compassion means, is it self-indulgence? Is it self-centeredness? Is it selfishness? So all those bad words about self, that's what we tend to carry with self-compassion. Interestingly, still some of us could be believing that we are not, if you're not blaming or punishing ourselves for something that we do wrong, or we think that we risk moral complacency. Maybe our runaway egotism comes into play, or maybe the sin of false pride comes in, so that we can caught up with such ideas. I just want to share a story or a live person's example. I would call them a person of no self-compassion. Person of no self-compassion. Ruth, she is a 35 years old IT professional, and she is in executive positions, and she has got 2 kids, and she's doing very well with her job, and kids are wonderful, and she has a very loving husband, and she herself is a very deeply kind person, very devoted wife, and totally involved with the kids, offers her help to the extended family, a very supportive friend for many people who are struggling, and above all, very hardworking, very hardworking. And she even finds time to go and volunteer and offer her services to a couple of charities. So in short, we can say here is an ideal role model as a good human being. Sadly, Ruth is in therapy. Ruth is in therapy because her levels of stress are so high. She tried all the time, she's tired all the time, feeling sleepy, depressed. She experiences a chronic low level of digestive problems, sometimes throws irritations at her husband and children, and doesn't make her very happy. In spite of all this, she's incredibly hard on herself. All the wonderful things of her life, because of this stress, and she's incredibly hard on herself. She continues to feel now and then, I'm not still good enough. What more? I'm not good enough. Am I doing enough? Am I being the good wife? Am I being the good mother, good daughter? In spite of doing all these things, though she is suffering, she never considered self-compassion for herself. In fact, the very idea of giving herself some kindness, some kind of understanding, being gentle with herself, strikes her as somehow very childish, sounds very irresponsible, sounds as though it is escapism, as though it is self-love, self-pity. A person of no self-compassion. Listen to this story of a person of self-compassion. A young man came to a teacher and asked, "Teacher, why are you so happy always? And I'm not. Why are you so happy always? But I'm not." The teacher said, "Come with me to the garden." The young man followed him to the garden. He asked him, "What do you see?" He says, "A big tree and a small tree standing next to each other. The big tree, very beautiful, lots of branches and lots of fruit, and there are flowers as well, beautiful flowers. And the small tree, not so attractive, but it's small, a little thin and lean. But I see them standing next to each other. And the small trees are good. I have been here for so many years, and I've been seeing these trees growing." And he said, "I have never seen or heard the small tree asking the big tree, 'Why are you so big and good, and I'm so small?'" He said, "I have never seen or heard the small tree complaining or comparing or asking the big tree about, 'Why are you so big and beautiful and fruitful, but I'm not?'" He says that's why they both are happy. One is big and the other is small. Both are unique. They do not compare themselves, although they stand next to each other. And they are happy. And he comes back to himself and said, "Now you wanted to know why I am happy. I'm happy because I have dropped all comparisons about people in relation to myself. I have simply accepted myself as I am, with my strengths, with my limitations, with my talents, with my shortcomings, with my good skills and good qualities, and not so. But I have accepted them as they are, and I have accepted myself as I am. That is my simple secret," he said. This person is a person of self-compassion. So what is not self? Just keep these two stories as we go through a few slides. Just 5 points are there, and what is not self-compassion, and keep these two stories at the background. What is not self-compassion? Self-compassion is not self-pity. When individuals feel self-pity, they become immersed in their own problems and forget that others have similar problems. They ignore their interconnections with others and instead feel that they are the only ones in the world who are suffering. They isolate themselves and exaggerate the personal suffering, as I call it, self-flagellation approach. Nobody understands me. Why am I like this? Nobody loves me. People do not care for me at all. Why do I suffer only? What have I done wrong? I'm trying to be good in my own way. Self-pity. But self-compassion is not self-pity. Self-compassion, on the other hand, allows one to see the related experiences of self and other without these feelings of isolation and disconnection. As I said, in the three elements, it's a common human experience. It's a shared experience of our humanity. Remember, also self-pitying individuals often become carried away and they are wrapped up in their own emotional drama, They cannot step back from their situation and try to adopt a more balanced or objective perspective. So in contrast, by taking the perspective of a compassionate other towards oneself, what are you going to do? You're going to create a mental space by being objective. You're going to create a mental space. And that helps you to understand in a broader way the human context that you are experiencing and put things in a greater perspective for yourself. You say, yeah, it is very difficult what I'm going through right now. It's not easy. I understand that. I'm struggling. But I'm not the only one. There are many other people who seem to be experiencing the same or much greater suffering. So is it worth for me to crib about it, to ruin my life, to spoil my day, to affect my relationship for all that I'm going through now? Is it worth? Self-compassionate person will ask. So the second one, self-compassion, is not self-indulgence. Self-compassion is also very different from this self-indulgence. Many people say they are reluctant to be kind to themselves, reluctant to be self-compassionate, because they are afraid they would let themselves get away with anything that they do in their personal life. There's just some kind of fear. So, a classic example, I'm stressed out today, so I can be very kind to myself. So what do? Father Bala is telling, be kind to yourself, be gentle. I'm really struggling, so I shall be very kind to myself. I shall watch whole day TV. I shall go for binge watching movies. I shall go for binge drinking. I shall drink and I shall take up my favorite biryanis and ice creams and lots of chips. So I shall engage myself, because after all, he told me to be kind to ourselves. I'm trying to be kind to myself. That is clear sign of self-indulgence than self-compassion. Remember that being compassionate to oneself means that you want to be happy. You want to be healthy in the long term, not just there and then. Feel good. There is some pleasure. Just in many cases, just giving oneself pleasure may harm the well-being. What is the well-being? Examples you can see. Just giving oneself pleasure may harm the well-being, like taking drugs or overeating or being a couch potato or whiling away your time completely without any sense of purpose and meaning. That is the danger. It will harm you. While giving yourself health and lasting happiness often involves a certain amount of displeasure. Earlier, I give pleasure in self-indulgence, does not help me to have a lasting happiness. But if I am able to involve myself with certain displeasure, then I will have lasting happiness and a certain healthiness. That could be like quitting smoking, not drinking so much, doing some exercise and losing weight. So such things, they are very hard to do. Every day you want to go for exercise, you have to get up in the morning and just be motivating yourself and be there. And yeah, it's not so easy sometimes. But it's a displeasure in its nature, but it is going to create a healthy and happy atmosphere for you. So that's the small difference between self-compassion and self-indulgence. So self-compassion is not self-indulgence. And self-compassion is not complacency either. People are often very hard on themselves when they notice something they want to change. So they think they generally by shaming themselves, we can achieve things. Again, as I talked about the self-flagellation approach. So I sometimes very hardly, yeah, come on, stupid fellow, you can't do this. You're educated so much, you can't even take up this one. So I can be very hard on myself. self-compassion will undermine my motivation to push myself to do better. That's what we think. If I'm very compassionate to myself, I may not give the best of myself. I might become very complacent. I'm becoming very lethargic. So I got to push myself. I got to be hard on myself. So the idea is that if we do not criticize ourselves for failing to live up to our standards, we believe we automatically succumb to this slothful defeatism in our life. No, it is not so. It is not so. So self-compassion is not a sign of weakness. George was a married man. He always considered himself a pillar of strength, an ideal husband and a good provider. He did all that he can. So he was devastated because his wife left him for another man, sadly. So he was devastated. I said, I was trying to be the best husband with all my good job, and I was trying to please her and do everything for her. But how can she do this for me? So she left for another man. So when his colleagues suggested that, okay, we understand the situation, why don't you be compassionate to yourself a little more about this divorce? His reaction was very shift. He said, don't give me that hearts and flowers stuff. The self-compassion and being kind to oneself, being kind to one's own struggles, all this for sissies, for cowards, for those people who do not have strength. Had to be hard as nails to get through this divorce with some semblance of self-respect. You know, I have some self-dignity, some self-respect. I'm not going to let down these things to down me. But he was struggling with himself. He was struggling with himself, not able to give that self-compassion. He thinks by being self-compassionate to oneself, we are weak people. We are cowards, not strong. That is a myth. Self-compassion is not self-esteem. This could be a little interesting for us. When I was doing a bit of research and thinking about this surprised me as well, because we conduct a lot of workshops and so on. Self-esteem is important, all that. It is true self-esteem. But Dr. Kristen Neff very beautifully makes this distinction between self-compassion and self-esteem. They are different in many ways, she says. So self-esteem usually refers to our sense of self-worth, as we call the perceived value, and how much we like ourselves. These are what will create a sense of self-worth in a person. If you see in our modern culture, self-esteem is often based on how much we are different from others, how much we stand out from others, how special you are. It is not okay to be just average. We have to feel above average to feel good about ourselves. So this means that attempts to raise self-esteem may result in narcissistic, self-absorbed behavior or lead us to put others down. Why? You want to feel better about yourself. So that is a kind of understanding of self-esteem. So people who have a need, higher need of self-esteem may encourage us to ignore, to distort, to hide all the personal shortcomings and limitations and the weaknesses that we have. Why? So that we cannot see ourselves very clearly and accurately. They are not objective to their own self. A person of self-esteem has the little danger of trying to cover it up of their own shortcomings and limitations. So in contrast to the self-esteem, we have the self-compassion. Is not based on self-evaluations. So I have done this seminar very well. I feel good about myself. I've done well. Self-esteem. But self-compassionate person, things didn't work out. Let us say the arrangements and we had no internet connection, things didn't work out. So if I were to go down and say, oh gosh, we prepared so much, this has not worked, I am a failure, I didn't do very well, why didn't I take care of those things? Because I'm so much concentrating on my self-esteem. What will people, so many people have registered, they have asked for this, they have asked this, and what is happening now? Oh, I'm a failure, I didn't do very well. If I'm putting my stakes on self-esteem. If I'm a self-compassionate person to myself, Bala, you have done what you could do. You have done what you could do with all the limitations. We tried our best at least. So let us have a evaluation and see whether can we do better next. Kind of very fundamental understanding that happens. So people feel compassion for themselves because all human beings deserve compassion and understanding, not because they possess some particular set of traits like pretty, is smart, is talented, is so on and so forth. No. I fundamentally feel every human being deserves that compassion, deserves that understanding, deserves that kindness, deserves that gentleness. So finally, my dear friends, this means that with self-compassion, you do not have to feel better than the other to feel good about yourself. I do not compare myself. You do not have to feel better than the other. Remember, a small tree has not complained or compared with the big tree. And the master did not compare himself with anybody else. That's why they were people of compassion and they were living a happy life. So, in other words, self-compassion also allows for greater clarity because I'm aware what I am. And because personal failings can be acknowledged with kindness. And I do not need to hide anything. Interestingly, the research indicates that in comparison to self-esteem and self-compassion, self-compassion is associated with greater emotional resilience, emotional strength, more self-accurate and clear concepts, and more caring relationship behaviors because of the self-compassion. And also less narcissism, narcissistic attitude towards oneself, and also very less anger or being reactive to others. So, as I said, these are the 5 things, are the myths that we should be very clear about and understand for ourselves. So, if you can see them, the self-compassion is not self-pity. So the invitation for you to be kind, please be kind to yourself. So it is not about self-pity. It is not about self-indulgence. It is not about being complacent. Not at all about your weakness. And it is not about self-esteem either. So if you see the checklist that we have seen for ourselves, we started with those 3 aspects. I'm mindful that it is a moment of suffering. I'm not the only one. I'm not going to over-identify myself and say I'm the only person suffering. Nobody else is suffering in this world. Why on earth I'm the only one? No. Mindfulness, this is a moment of suffering. I'm one among those people who are struggling. Common humanity, shared value, shared human experience. Hardships are part of my life. That's what I'll tell every day. Hardships are part of my life. So, on the first component, we'll say, I can be kind to myself. I can be kind to myself. I hope you're all with me and you're getting me. So, I'm not going around just There. Can anyone just say hello if you're there? Is it clear so far? Are you able to?
Yes. Very
Excellent.
Yes,
clear.
yes.
Thank you, sir.
It is clear.
Very clear.
Very clear.
Wonderful. So let's go to
Yes, sir,
the.
very clear.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's go to the mute again. Let's go to the mute. Thank you. So we are coming to the close of the seminar or workshop, whatever we call it. Some very interesting facts about this self-compassion. This research findings come up with these the benefits of self-compassion in our lives. Robin Flanagan's book, The Kindness Cure, points out that self-criticism makes you feel stuck, being very critical, being harsh. When I say self-criticism, we are not saying evaluation of the self in a productive way or a critical way. I'm not talking about in a constructive way. I'm not talking about that. Self-criticism which has got a destructive nature. So points out that self-criticism makes you feel stuck, especially if it is adding fuel to an underlying sense of depression or the struggle or anxiety that one is going through. That's what the self-criticism does. So you got to be self-kind towards yourself. So now replacing this kind of disapproval or self-judgment with self-compassion allows you to accept that you are flawed, or it means you have some limitation in a gentle way that helps to strengthen mental wellness. Just accepting gently, yes, I'm not all that strong as I thought. That helps you to strengthen your mental wellness. So developing a sense of self-compassion can help us in many areas of our life, as it is there on the slide here. So self-compassion is about a change in attitude, and it is linked with greater well-being and as well as superior performance outcomes. So first and foremost, an attitude change is what is required. I got to demythify myself, all the myths that I have talked about. Demythify yourself and be prepared. Yes, today I am going to be deciding for myself. I shall be kind. I shall be gentle. I shall be self-compassionate to myself. Attitudinal shift is what is required. So then you can see the superior performance, the good things that comes out of your own life. So basically some of those things, this is what broadly speaking, the research says. If a person of self-compassion is there, he can see these positive outcomes. What happens? This self-compassion increases motivation in that person. It boosts your happiness. It improves your body image. Remember the story, that girl? Others could recognize that she was beautiful because she thought she's dark and so not so beautiful. She's poor, so not so beautiful. So her own body image was something different. But when this man gave her a chance to go back to herself and see for herself with certain calmness and positivity, her body image has changed. It enhances self-worth. Same thing has happened to her. The self-worth of Ruth is so different. Self-worth of George is so different. The self-worth of the teacher was so different. And it fosters a resilience in life when you are self-compassionate to yourself. And it also reduces mental health problems like the anxieties and the depressions and the stress, especially these days. Many people are going through because for the lack of jobs or for the lack of certainty in life, and so much people are going through. So that is when we need to be more and more self-compassionate, because we want healthy and lasting effects on us. So finally, it leads us to increased productivity. Look at this slide so beautifully. And I said to my body softly, now all that I have listened to and all that I have observed and all that I have desired for, so I want to be your friend. So you're telling yourself to your body. The body took a long breath, your own body, and said, oh my dear Bala, I've been waiting for my whole life for this. Oh my dear Bala, why have you been waiting so long? So I got to be a friend to myself. I got to be a friend to myself. It's very important. So I'm going to lead you to another small exercise. So I hope you're not feeling sleepy. If you're feeling sleepy, please just get up from your chairs for a few seconds. And again, we're going to place a couple of minutes or 2-3 minutes maximum into these small exercise. It's going to be very helpful. Summarizing all that we have seen, will be going through into this experience. So what all that we have seen as a little theory, little points of explanation, we'll try to put them together in this exercise and try to apply to ourselves. So I'm not interested in this seminar because these things can be easily read out somewhere and we can check them in the internet. But what is important is that we become very practical to ourselves, try to make use of these little exercises on our own so that we derive something out of it. That is my intention and purpose of this session. So not a seminar or a webinar that we attended, wow, wonderful, no, but has it helped me? How am I going to translate that into my life and make my life more beautiful, more happier? If I am happier, others will be happier too. So invite you once again to take a comfortable posture, gently close your eyes, take a few deep breathings and breathe outs. Now think of a situation in your own life that is difficult, that is causing you stress. Call that situation to the mind. Think of a situation that is causing you stress right now. Actually feel the stress that you're going through or the emotional discomfort in your body or in your mind and in your soul. That's something that is not very happy for you at the moment. Think of that. Become aware deeply of that negative feeling, that sad experience, that stress, that suffering, that struggle. I'm pinning it. Now I say to myself, calling out my name, this is a moment of suffering. Or I'll say, oh, this is the stress I'm going through. Oh God, this is hurting me. Oh, I'm so uncomfortable with this. Whatever option that you have for yourself, whatever phrase or anything that you want to sell you, just accept that moment of suffering. That is nothing but the mindfulness. Now come to the second level and say to yourself, suffering is part of my life. I'm not the only one. There are so many people who feel stressed out. There are so many people who are going through uncertainty. I'm not alone in this world. I know so many people who are struggling like me. That's nothing but common humanity. That's nothing but common humanity.
ఫీడ్‌బ్యాక్ లింక్ ఇస్తాడు. లేదంటే ఇంకా ఏంటిది రెస్ట్ కావాలి.
So now you have accepted for yourself the suffering and the stress that you are going through. Now you acknowledged for yourself that is the suffering that all of us go through. Now I invite you to place your hands over your heart, your chest. Feel the warmth of your hands. Feel the gentle touch of your hands on your chest. Feel the warmth of loving yourself, accepting yourself, understanding yourself. Now say to yourself in your own words, maybe this is time that I need to be kind to myself. Maybe this is the time I need to forgive myself. Maybe this is the time that I need to understand myself better. Maybe this is the time I need to be kind to myself. Can I be strong with myself? Can I be patient? Can I accept myself as I am? Reinforce yourself with this positive self-talk. Time and again, feed yourself with such energizing, growth-promoting, strength-producing words and phrases. So again, kindly take a deep breath and a few deep breaths and outs. So this practice can be used at any time of the day or night, and will help you remember to evoke the three aspects of compassion when you need it most in your life. So we have almost come to the end of our presentation. So I would say once you finish the seminar, once you're out of this, so I invite you to gently write down one way in which you can be compassionate towards yourself, as you have done towards the end of the exercise. Maybe I want to be patient, I want to accept as I am. So write down a few things and let it be part of your day today. Ruminate about it and keep saying to yourself time and again and every now and then. So that becomes your routine life. So such things will help you. So on the whole, I hope you have enjoyed the session, about self-compassion. It's very important every day as you look at yourself in the mirror, you could see your image where you want to be very, very kind and good and gentle and loving towards yourself. My dear friends, if not you, who else can be? There are so many people out there in the world who are saying, we love you, you're wonderful, but I'm not able to say sometimes, I'm wonderful, I'm lovable, I'm good. So with all the little background that we have seen just today, it's not being self-indulgent or self-pity or being narcissistic with our own self, but in a very healthy way. Yeah, why not? I shall carry myself forward with certain dignity and self-worth, and I'm wonderful. I'm after all, the image of God. I'm created by God. I'm a special child. So you need to accept yourself as we are. So, and that is what my wish and prayer for all of you. And yeah, I would like to thank all of you for signing up for this seminar. And I wish all the very best and a happy and a healthy life. And stay safe and stay well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Father. Father, I am Ranjana Sharma from Kolkata. And Father, this is Father, thank you so much for organizing this webinar about self-compassion. Actually, all the time we think about others. We think about we take care of others, but we have forgotten to take care of ourselves. So really, it will be very, very helpful for us. Thank you so much, Father, once again.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, madam. God bless. You're welcome.
Father, is it audible?
Yes, audible.
There
If
is one
questions
there is one question in the chat box, Father.
Yeah.
This is from Dr. C.H. Gita Devi.
Yeah.
And the question is, can the extreme feeling of self-compassion may turn on an individual as a self-centered and possessiveness? Your thoughts on this?
Yes, you're
this question is from
true.
Dr. C.H. Gita Devi.
Yeah, you're absolutely true. That's what we said. It is not self-compassionate. Does not mean you are self-absorbed into yourself. That becomes narcissism. You are so self-centered. You become self-centered, selfish. In other words, so me, me, me. It's not about me, me, me. It is I. I know who I am. With all, as we rightly talked about, I am what I am, with all my difficulties and with all my strengths. I'm not saying that I have to be self-indulgent in a way, as I said in the session today. So definitely, if you are going, you know for yourself whether I'm being very selfish or I'm being very kind to myself. When a person is kind to self, there is a sense of objectivity. There is a sense of objectivity. There is a certain sense of fairness that one experiences within a self. So I hope that, that each individual is capable of that distinction. I hope that is answered in a way.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Gita. If anybody wants to ask a question, please unmute yourself and you can ask the question to Father Bala.
Father, from last 2 days.
Yeah.
From last 2 days, Joseph Uttam Gomes. So from last 2 days, one of my, very, very brother, one of my loving brother, he's admitted in hospital due to some illness. And I am so upset, and I don't know, I'm feeling very scared, and I'm not, my life is a little bit of, even I don't know, I'm not in me actually. So how to, please, if you can give me some tips. I'm very worried. I'm really worried for that. And from morning to evening, I'm just thinking of it, how it happens. And even I'm a little bit of scared also for this.
Yeah.
Please, you suggest me how I lead my life. I'm always positive thinker, but after happening this from last 2 days, I'm very worried. Please, Father, you suggest me.
Yeah, thank you for expressing yourself. And it's, as we said, the exercises that we have done. Imagine for yourself the friend exercise that we have done. So if somebody is, you said right now your friend himself is going through, and you are expressing certain compassion for your friend, you are feeling for your friend. The same friend of yours within yourself is crying out. You're able to give support to your friend who is in the hospital. You're able to understand him. You're able to care for him. And the same little friend of yours within yourself is crying out, oh, you are torturing me, you are over identifying yourself, you are too much conscious. So can I be a little more understanding to myself? A question that you can ask and become aware of it much more. It is, as we said, it is the common human experience that all of us goes through in our life. So it is a moment of mindfulness, as we have done towards the end. I hope you followed that exercise towards the end. Constantly doing that might help you. A compassion break exercise towards the end that I gave you. So that would be a great help. And continue with the same positive attitude that you have. That's very important. You are already a man of positivity. That's a big strength for you. So thank you.
Can I make a question, sir?
Yes, please. Any other person?
Morning, sir.
Yeah. Can I make a question, sir?
Please, yeah.
Yeah. Sir, it's a wonderful talk. I'm Padmakar from Machilipatnam.
Yeah.
Christian Neff told, self-compassion compassion need not be always soft and gentle. Actually, the women should need a fair self-compassion. What do you say about this, sir?
Women, can you repeat? Women?
Yeah, women should need a fair self-compassion.
Fair self-compassion, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the question. Yeah. You are true. Actually, research has proven that women by nature are very caregiving people, and they are so much giving and giving. And research also says that women tend to be much higher in not caring for themselves because they are so much in giving. And sadly, our society also pushes them that you have to be a giver and a giver and a giver. So I think it is very important that women could also realize for themselves that you already give so much. You already give so much. So you only need to care for yourself. You deserve it. You deserve it much more than anybody else, because you are such a giving person. So I think that should come much more deep into the psyche of our society, and much more our Indian society, I must say. Indian society, we expect so much from them, and that's sad reality that we don't attend and care enough for their well-being. So I wish that there is an attitudinal change in the men too, in the men especially, where we have to acknowledge and recognize that they are so good at the multitasking. They are so wonderful. They're able to do their job, and they have to come back home and look after the home, and they have to look after the in-laws and parents and daughters and husbands and sons, whatnot, everything. So very good point of reference you have made, sir. Excellent.
I love this. I love this answer, sir. Thank you, sir, once again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Vice Principal, Agricultural Science and Management, sir. So it is only time note. The organizers have selected a wonderful session, and whatever the presentation you have given so far is quite inspiring, and I hope that it will bring change among the people's attitude. Attitude is very important. It plays a key role in the present society. We people forget about what are the silent features of your own being, and we behave in a different manner. You illustrated all these things with beautiful examples. I'm very much thankful to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Yes, I would like to again stress the same what you have said. Attitude is very important. And unless and until that we decide, let us not worry about anybody else in this seminar. Let's forget about your own mother and daughter, son and wife or husband. Just focus onto yourself today and say, I am going to be positive way, selfish. That attitudinal change has to come for us today. That I'm going to work on myself. Yeah, that attitude should enter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Father, good
Yes.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Tini Bhattacharjee, teacher of Loreto Day School, Elliott Road.
Okay.
The last bit that you said, to put your hand and palm on the chest and, to breathe aloud. And I thought that was really effective because it immediately, instantly calms you down.
Yeah.
But as days progress and, we tend to get so tied in with our daily chores and teaching and all that happens around us. there is every possibility that we forget to do this exercise. To me, I'm not commenting. I'm just trying to say something that, attitudinal change that you spoke about is to me the crux of the matter. And I don't think it can happen overnight, because if I'm 52 and I still have that problem where I blame myself for a lot of things, which is not in my control right now, to change that will require more than a conscious effort. This is my simple understanding. I may be wrong. So how do you think we can consciously bring about that change? Because as I said, 52 years I'm doing it. So what happens now? You can't expect in 6 months I become,
Thank you, madam. For me, the very simple thing is it should become part of your routine. As eating, drinking, breathing becomes part of your routine, it should start. It should start with your thinking. It should be part and parcel of your life. So we got to begin somewhere. We got to determine ourselves and take a step and say, I am going to be positive. I'm going to be kind. It's a constant reminder. We have these days all the reminders in our phones and everything for, I might forget, I might reminder. So in other words, it is a constant reminder button that we have to give to ourselves. That much we should be able to start with. And then slowly, step by step, it will help you. For us, I'm a Jesuit priest. There is something in our spirituality called examination. So we call it examination of conscience. At the end of the day, it is basically evaluation of the self. So that's what I would propose to many people. If you really want to work on yourself a little bit, you want to have greater awareness about yourself, you got to give 10 minutes of your time every day, being alone to yourself. No phone, nothing, nobody else around you. Just be yourself for 10 minutes, just to scan through the day and see and become aware of those things that have not helped you. Identify just one. Let's not be too greedy. Identify just one that did not help me today, took away the joy of my life. Identify, replay that, and see for yourself and see how could I have done it differently. The same interaction, maybe the same of encounter with the other person which was unpleasant, whatever it is. Replay it and see how could I have done it differently, which could have been more smooth, more positive, more self growth promoting. So that fundamental thing of understanding and reliving that will give you strength and gives you a sense of focus for the next day. You might fall again into the same trap, but again, you're at the end of the day, you're going to do it. So time and again, trial and error methods. There is no one solution. People are so different. People have different understandings. So there is no one solution to it, but we have to keep trying, but at least we are in the right track. That is the sense of hope that I should have. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Yeah, I think also saying sorry is a little less, it helps. We say sorries for everything, even when we are not to blame. We begin by saying sorry, an apology, So I think that makes you feel even more, I don't know, it's just a thought. Thank you, Father.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
Good afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon, Father. May I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Father, I have a very good friend. I'm from Loreto, Dharamtala. I have a very good friend who is on the verge of divorce.
Okay.
Now, what you said is self-strength and all that we need. This is very good. But when it comes to practical thing, Father, if you have a very bad husband, I wouldn't say bad, but overpowering, I think, overbearing. She was supposed to sign some documents and she did not want to sign.
Yeah.
So the husband used his force and he was you could say like a big guard near the door so that she doesn't walk out. He made sure that he wanted her to sign some document for some land property or something like that. And she was beaten up. she being an educated girl and all that, still I don't think so. Even if you're strong enough, you're not able to do that. So in all this session also, if she attends or whatever it is, does it help? I mean, how does she get a strength? I couldn't help her at all because she wanted to save that marriage. Her son also said, Mama, walk out of the house. You don't need to save the marriage. Your life is first.
Yeah.
So how do we help in this situation? As a friend, I would like to know, because here she has made up her mind, for my child and for my family, what will my parents say? I want to save this marriage. At the same time, her life is in danger also. Anytime he can beat her up. He was breaking things, you know. So
Yeah.
she is living in, you can say, a trauma. So how do we help in this situation? Because coming to this practical way of life, sometimes this goes haywire.
Yeah. To you have brought in a very live example and where a person is really struggling with certain aspect of her life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you may not be happy with the answer that I give you now because
Yes.
I do not have a magic wand. I'm not escaping here. Sorry to please
Yes.
do not misunderstand me.
Yes.
It's a real situation that a person is going through. There may not be an immediate solution that I can give you or the a session here
No,
now.
Father, I am not asking for solution. As a friend, I mean, how do I advise her? Because she was crying over the phone and
Exactly.
said, what do I do? So
There
I
is
was helpless. Like I said, your son is saying the right thing. Your life is first. But where she saying, where do I go? I
yeah,
mean, at this time of COVID, everything is in lockdown. Where do I run away? I'm
yeah,
facing all this. That is.
ex-
So I was also helpless.
yeah, exactly.
So,
So
but
one
your
of the
session was very good. I can also tell her, but then she will also tell me, you know, where do I
that's
get the strength? I need
uh,
that strength to walk out.
yeah. There are two things in this, according to me. One is a practical difficulty. We have to take all the necessary help that is required for her, whatever the protection if she is needing the legal system and all that. That everybody
Yes,
knows. Everybody knows
yes,
about it.
yes, yes.
And only the personal thing that she has to work, or what you are struggling, how do I respond to her? There is nothing
Yes.
sometimes we can do. It is beyond our capacity, but there is something
Right.
that we can do is being there, the very
Yes.
presence of it. For her, the very thought that I have somebody to call and to pour out and to talk is itself is a
Yes.
great therapeutic thing, great help that you are doing. Now,
Yes.
that itself is a relieving factor. Imagine I don't have anybody to call. Imagine I can't even phone
Right.
somebody and share and struggle and cry over. So at
Yes.
least there's that cushion that you are acting as, and you are
Yes.
being a support system that I can call her and share and cry about. And you are just being there as a presence. That is a very important thing. That is where the compassion helps. And probably, as I said, she has to also help herself with this. I'm not saying these are going to solve her problems. No, at least might give her little comfort, little solace, little understanding. If
Yes.
at least that much I can say. Rather, if she goes on the other side of it, she might go to the extreme step of losing her life. At
Right.
least this will help her to be focused and grounded and say, okay, let me keep fighting, and keep going. Why people go to the other extremes and just lose their life? Because they have not been kind to themselves. So at least
Right.
if I am not able to solve our problems at this level, at least I do not worsen it for her, or she does not worsen for herself. That's where I would think.
Yes. Yes. I think she needs that moral strength also
Yeah.
from us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Hello, good
Yes.
afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon.
Father, I am from Loreto, Shimla.
Yeah.
I have one question, Father. If
Yeah.
something is going to happen, suppose after 1 week, there is some test or something, what is there, and that is always in your mind for 1 week, how to come out of this, what will going to happen. Suppose if there is some test in your hospital or any report is there is something is going to happen next week, Father. So I would like to know, the stress is in my mind that what is going to happen next. How to come out of this, Father?
Yeah, as you rightly said, the anxiety and the panic that
Yes,
one.
anxiety is there, Father. Yes.
So it's a basic. So we got to be very honest with ourselves and ask some good questions. So Bala, you're going to have your test. At least you've done a wonderful thing of going for a test. You're not neglected it. You've done it.
Yes,
So
yes, Father.
the doctor said 1 week
Yeah.
it is going to take. Can I do anything meanwhile? No, I can't do anything. I have to wait. So you're being very practical to your own problem and saying, reasoning out. It starts with the reasoning out and say, well, I have to wait. I have no other choice. So why I worry? What do I get
Yes,
by worrying?
that
And
worry is there, Father. Yes, that
so
worry is there.
you're asking a question to yourself, why do I worry? By worrying,
Yes,
do I get the test results preponed to 3 days? No, it has to still 1 week only. So by worrying, what are the other things that are happening? I'm affecting my family life, my professional life. It is showing in the teaching. It is showing in the way I relate to the staff. It is showing the way I relate with my people at home. So is it necessary for me? Do I get anything? So again, being very, very kind to yourself and asking gentle questions might put certain perspective to you.
thank you, Father.
Welcome. Well, yes.
So, is there
Sometimes,
anyone to ask question to Father Bala? It's almost 12:50, am I right?
yes. So we'll.
Anyone, please? Father, if that is the case, just I need to propose what I'm saying. Please permit me.
Yes.
Friends, at the outset, I would like to thank the Almighty God for enabling for this for His grace, enabling me to meet all through this virtual platform today. Um, Big thanks to for the members of the management of Andhra Loyola College and for the Victor Manuel, principal and the convener of this webinar, for his constant guidance and support. Special thanks to Dr. A. Francis Xavier, Director, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, for his support and immense help, and also by providing the Microsoft Teams as well. My sincere appreciation to Reverend Father Bala Bulmini, SJ, the founder, the director of SJ, for his content-centric talk. Further, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We appreciate and thank Mrs. Mary Manjula, the coordinator of Women's Cell, for introducing the webinar speaker. I owe a lot to Mr. Kishore from the Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology for its technical support, Mr. P.T. Parker, my former student, for designing the brochure, and Mr. Ali, my student friend, for making arrangements for this webinar. Special
Yes. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Father.
Yeah. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for participating and taking a lot of interest in it, and also would like to thank Dr. Samuel Dayaka for organizing this, putting together all the resources of men and technology, and as he thanked all the others as well. So have a lovely day and God bless you.
Thank you, Father. That was a wonderful presentation, Father.
So can we leave the meeting?
తీసేసేయండి తొందరగా చేయండి ఇది మళ్ళీ ఆ ఫీడ్బ్యాక్ ఒక చాట్లో పెట్టు